We're going to be diving in any second now.
Let the gameplay show us the path. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1. It is going to be down south, DeMusliM playing as the Red English, and there is the barracks on the northern side. Who do we have, Aussie?
On the north side, spawning in as the color blue, playing as the French. It is the one, the only, TheViper.
So Dark Age Barracks.
That is all I've got for you.
There it is. I know you love doing that, so we're just going to do it that way. So here's the barracks out there, and you see Viper has sent the scout forward straight away. So he probably is like, okay, let's see if DeMusliM is going to do this one. Man-at-Arms now coming in. And the first benchmark point here for the English Man-at-Arms Russian Dark Age is checking out where that gold mine is at. Because if the gold mine is at the back of the opponent's base, it's going to be substantially more difficult for that Man-at-Arms to reach it in time and do damage. Looking at the minimap, it's a perfect position for Viper. Oh boy, this Man-at-Arms should not be able to accomplish much over here.
All right, Lidakor, we did have a little bit of a chat earlier. I'm going to be informing you guys of that I'll be back in a moment, all right? Lidakor, you're going to look after this early game. I will be back shortly. Good luck with the Man-at-Arms rush. I've got some business to attend to.
Oh yeah, this is something that we talked with Aussie about, and all I can say is that that sauce was a little too spicy for Aussie's lunch. So I guess I'll be your only host here for a couple of minutes out here with that Man-at-Arms moving in towards the northern side. I'm sure Aussie is going to join us as soon as possible, as soon as the hot sauce lets him do that. 4 on gold here for Viper. This is one of the first things to look at over here. He knows that the Man-at-Arms is coming in. He needs to get back to the town center as soon as possible. Looks like Viper is going to have sufficient amount of gold for Feudal Age over here. That's the reason why he rushed out so many bills. He knows very well that the Man-at-Arms is coming, so he needs to make sure that he gathers the gold before it arrives, because he currently have no tools to stop that. This being said, Viper was successful gathering the gold he needs, and with that, he should be able to get towards Feudal Age very nice and easy. Both players with approximately the same amount of sheep to work with, so pretty decent starting here for Viper. DeMusliM did some damage, but not a ton of damage really accomplished by that Man-at-Arms. By the way, Aussie's lunge actually looked really good. Okay, this is the story. Like, we have Dark Age, so we've talked about Aussie's lunch over here, that hot sauce was a little too hot for him, but chat, make your predictions. What do you think Aussie's using as a side, or eating as a side, for fried chicken? I got an image from it and I couldn't believe my eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, Aussie's lunch was fried chicken with waffles. And I was just looking at that. Waffles aside? What are you doing, man? I mean, hot sauce this, hot sauce that. It's like waffles and fried chicken is just a crime. Looking at that scout over there, he's going to deliver some punishment on the Man-at-Arms. It's not going to do much, but Viper's got a scout that will heal up over time. You can get a couple of hits on that Man-at-Arms, damage it a tiny bit, trying to delay it from torching down that mining camp as long as possible. Viper, on the way to Feudal Age, he's actually rushing up that school of cavalry with what seems to be 4 or 5 villagers, so he's really rushing that feudal. He probably wants to get 1 horseman out. He's not gonna have enough gold for a knight, so it's gotta be a horseman, and that's the reason why you're doing this Man-at-Arms rush. Because with that Man-at-Arms rush, you're pushing away the French player from gold. You deny him the option to go for that knight at the beginning. You deny Viper the option to go for wheelbarrow. So you severely limit the options of the French player over here with just that single Man-at-Arms. DeMusliM will be delayed to Feudal Age, of course, because of that. He's on the way with the Council Hall, only building that with 2 villagers, it seems. So he's playing a relatively slow Feudal Age timing over here. Viper coming in with 2 horsemen queued up for the time being. Once he gets that gold mine back, wheelbarrow is going to be a thing, and would you look at that, Viper is moving on to stone, so he's expecting DeMusliM to play defensive, and he's going to react appropriately. He's going to play with the stone mine. DeMuslim's got 2 scouts out there. He could send those in to try and help out that Man-at-Arms. Farms being dropped right now by DeMusliM. And it looks like the horsemen will be in here to try and save that mining camp just in time. Villagers also being pulled, so you're going to have the villager in there to repair. One of the problems that you're suffering from when you're using horsemen against that Man-at-Arms is that, unlike the knights, the horsemen won't heal back. So any damage that you take on those horsemen from that Man-at-Arms is permanent. It's not going to be a tremendous amount of damage, but obviously for DeMusliM, that Man-at-Arms is paying for its price so effectively. Looks like the Man-at-Arms is still alive out there. Viper pretty heavy on the stone department, already at 115. Man-at-Arms finally getting cleaned up. And DeMusliM still yet to reach Feudal Age. Now, he's got 2 scouts, but I don't think that he has scouted his opponent mining stone just yet. Instead, he's focusing on the farming. It's going to be a 3-2-3 farm placement, so he's only going to have 8 buffed farms around that mill. No 10 farms for him, so could be slightly more effective. He's going to opt to go for the 8 farms. Still only building that council hall with 2 villagers, so he really is taking his time over here, which is a sign that he isn't really afraid of counterattacks by Viper. Now, this is good and bad at the same time, because he's absolutely right about this one. Viper isn't really going to send in a ton of forces to punish him. But the reality is that Viper is going to punish him differently. He's going to punish him with a second town center being added. And with French already training villagers a lot faster, that's going to be a nice edge as well for Viper. He's going to intercept the scouts in the middle. A little bit difficult to see what's going on thanks to that stout forest. But with those horsemen out there, DeMusliM is not going to have the chance to scout Viper's base. So DeMusliM will be unaware of that second town center for a long time, I do believe.
Yes, you do believe indeed. I am back. I have returned from my mission. What's the sit rep right now, Lidakor? What's the damage? What's going on? What's happening right now? We're 7 minutes through this game. Who is winning? Who is losing?
Well, so far Viper is dropping a second town center out there. It's good to have you back over here. I also asked chat what they think about your fried chicken plus waffles diet. Do you care to elaborate on that?
Look, I'm just going to put it this way, okay? There may have been quite a bit of spice on that chicken, and I am now regretting having that spice on the chicken. But look, it was delicious. If I'm being honest with you guys, it was a delicious meal. I do regret the spices, though. But wow, double TC for Viper in this scenario up against an early English aggression. This is new. This is actually what we saw. Who did I see do this? I think I saw Beastie Cutie do this against Viper. Oh, I actually saw Beastie Cutie do this against Viper, I'm pretty sure. This is smart. This is a smart move. This counters the English feudal powerhouse. And sort of really puts the shoe on the other foot. It's almost like DeMusliM has to force or has to really push in and do damage.
And the thing is that DeMusliM was very slow to feudal age, so he only used like 2 villagers or so to build that council hall. So DeMusliM was like, okay, Viper isn't going to be able to punish me for having a slow feudal age. I will just focus on my eco, slowly get up to feudal. But one thing that DeMusliM does not know is that Viper is on 2 town centers. Because DeMusliM scouts got pushed back into his base. He never scouted the stone mine, never scouted the second town center. So currently, DeMusliM just believes that his opponent is on 1 town center, or at least that seems to be the case. Now, he's building up a force over here, but you see Viper already has an 8 villagers lead. And by the time these longbows and the spearmen arrive, it might already be a little too late for DeMusliM, to be honest.
Yeah, this is the exact thing that happened. So essentially, DeMusliM should have one opportunity to make a push. And the problem is, because he invests so heavily on his eco, you can see he's already got the farms up, he's already got the wheelbarrow is out. A lot of those resources that should have been spent on units have now been spent on the economy. Meanwhile, Viper's been chilling out in his base, just making villages, doing his thing. You can see that villager count is really starting to climb. He's up by 9 villages at this point. Doesn't have a lot of military, but that's not a problem. He's going to have horsemen. He's going to have archers coming out very shortly, and he's going to look to hold on. But he's got to start making units soon, though, because it's not looking pretty. Is he thinking about going for a castle age? What is this madman doing right now?
Fast castle or semi-fast castle here would be a great idea, because one thing that often goes underappreciated is how powerful the French men-at-arms could be when you hit castle age faster than your opponent. Remember, you would get the attack upgrades immediately on your blacksmith for free, so you already start off with castle age with +2 attack men-at-arms out there. And against spearmen and longbows, that could be a great response. Now, the concern here for DeMusliM is that he's still nowhere close to pushing Viper, so at this point, it could just start coming down to voiding yourself off and going to castle age as well for DeMusliM. Viper having a couple of farms out there because his food eco isn't going to be spectacular without those. He doesn't really have a ton of map control. That's the only problem that he's facing, I believe. And I think we are going to see DeMusliM spawning that second town center very soon, and he's gonna be like, oh shoot, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the reaction is right now. Now, Viper actually getting upgrades behind this as well. He is very intent on going to that castle age. You can see him stacking up the resources. This is wild to me because he does spot that second town center out there. You see the scout rounding the corners. What is DeMuslim's response? Is he going to be looking to go castle age? Is he just going to be looking to emulate the same sort of, boom elements just by going to the King's Palace? Is that what he's thinking? this is a different or a difficult question, but Viper's got a very nice timing window here. Typically, you would definitely give a favor over to the English player in this scenario, but this build order against a greedy English player. Now, the key here is against a greedy English player. I don't think this build order works against an English player that doesn't focus heavily on their economy. So I didn't see the early game because, as you guys know, I wasn't here. There were problems. But DeMusliM, I'm suspecting, probably went for 1, 2, or 3 farms. Obviously got that early wheelbarrow in, and as a result, Viper identifies that, and he says, all right, I'll just go 2 TC. That's what Beastie Cutie did to me. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to win. And he's looking pretty good. So already, and that's great for Viper to be able to beat DeMuslim's English with the French. What a great start to the set for him, because taking out DeMuslim's English, that is the #1 powerhouse right now for DeMuslim. Obviously he's got the Rus advantage as well, but the English are really the big threat here.
I 100% agree with you, and you see, Viper is going to be faster to castle age than his counterpart at this point. 16 villagers lead already, and sure enough, you can drop that extra town center with the English as your landmark, but you're not going to be able to cut into that villager deficit. You see the King's Pass is just now coming up, so there's gonna be a steady 16 villagers advantage here for Viper, and this is where things are going to start getting ugly. And in many ways, Viper did this when he himself played English, just the other way around. So go for a very strong economy in Feudal Age, play very passive, very defensive, and then unleash hell in Castle Age. And you see, food gathering upgrade still missing out there. But aside from that, Viper's set up with the production. He's got double stables, double ranges for himself, and it looks like he's going to play archers and the knights over here for himself. Fast monastery as well to pick up the relics.
Yeah, he's just looking to get even further ahead. And I think he senses that DeMusliM knows there's not going to be a lot of aggression coming out. And as a result, he's like, well, I can take my time. I can get my monastery. I can collect my relics. And keep in mind, he's playing as the French, which means more villages more quickly all the time. So DeMusliM going to be looking to catch up. He's already down by 20 villages, but that villager lead is only going to continue to build now because Viper is in the castle age. He's got that 2 town centers, and each villager takes 16 seconds to build. But now those archers beginning to push out. We see veteran archers also coming through now for Viper, training up a monk, looking to take control of the relics on the map, and he'll be looking to really make sure that all of the relics, at least all the available relics, are in his control. There's one sitting behind the walls of DeMusliM that I don't think he's going to be getting his hands on, but I'm sure he'll try.
Yeah, one of the things I love about that monastery here for Viper is that his opponent has a slow-moving army, longbow spearmen. So it's going to be difficult for DeMusliM to intercept monks. It's not like you're playing against a French player that has high mobility knights that can intercept prelates or scholars or monks, whatever you want to call them, those religious units depending on the civilization. But with the English having a slow-moving army, Viper can easily get away with those monks just walking across the map, picking up those relics. And it looks like he's in danger of losing one scout over here, but he's just going to run circles. And oh no, DeMusliM is even pursuing with those longbows. Oh man, I mean, this is perfect diversion here by Viper. He absolutely did not care about that scout. It was just a matter of making sure that those longbows are distracted as long as possible.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. He just wants to keep him in his base because he knows the longer the game goes at this point, he's going to be good. Now, we mentioned earlier, or at least I mentioned before the game begun, that the English late game is significantly stronger than the French late game. But if, as the French, you can get to the late game before the English player, then you have got a window of advantage, a window that you can potentially take control. And we've seen this before. There was a game that Beastie Cutie played against Viper. I think it was French versus English on Highview, where we saw a wonder come out. And on that same map, we saw the French player who was playing up against the English. The English with the very strong late game was still able to be kept up with by that French player just simply because the French player got to the late game first. He had the superior economy, and it just kept him in that higher gear at that higher speed. But now we begin to see longbows moving in, looking to pick off, or rather archers looking to pick off a couple of villages here. Not going to be able to find too much. Just dancing around now, going to be repelled out completely. And yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, you got to favor the Viper here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at that villager count over here. We're looking at 80 versus 54. The only concern for Viper is whose wall is that? Okay, that's DeMuslim's wall. So he's realizing that, okay, those archers are going to cause a headache to me. So I'm just going to pull them back. But the thing is that Viper doesn't have a lot of food under his control right now. So he's taking berries all across the map. He doesn't have the board, he doesn't have hunts, so he's yet to make a farm transition. But aside from that, I mean, he's possessing a 25 villagers lead at 50 minutes into this game, and you see his farming eco is getting set up as well. So This is just the calm before the storm, you get the feel. Man-at-Arms upgrade now coming in for DeMusliM. The problem is that DeMusliM is playing a slow and passive game, and Viper is doing the same thing, but Viper, obviously, he's able to set up his eco a lot faster, and we're seeing that soon translate to military as well.
Yeah, now we see the Knights come out, and quite a few Knights he's got here as well. We see Veteran Spears has already come out now for DeMusliM. He's going to be looking to defend on the front here. Keep in mind, the Archer's going to be teeing off towards those Spearmen, trying to bait them out. The beautiful micro coming out from Viper. Look at the splits coming in right now with the Knights, being able to take those Spears out as far as he wants. And now those Knights looking incredibly strong. Archer's going to be going down here, but keep in mind, the walls have finally come up for DeMusliM, so it looks like Viper's push towards the base of his opponent is going to be fizzled out, but at the same time, somehow DeMusliM reinforces through the walls. He manages to hold steadfast and strong and continues pushing out against his opponent.
Nice battle over here for DeMusliM, but you get the feel that Viper was completely conscious of the fact that he isn't going to be able to win that fight, and this was all about being a diversion, because behind this one, Viper is picking up relics, and the easiest way to make sure that your opponent isn't hunting your monks is if they are forced to defend back at home. So Viper can delay DeMusliM even further with this, and you see just widen that villager gap even more. I mean, we're at 92 villagers rather for Viper, but almost 100 here for him, as opposed to 65. Finally, the crossbows, longbows, and the spearmen are pushing up. Reaction is going to be a siege workshop here for Viper. Army number is not looking great for Viper right now, so he could be punished for this one here in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, where is his military at? Viper's got all the economy, but no military, it seems. DeMusliM, meanwhile, going to begin pushing out. He's got this siege workshop out in the middle of nowhere. What is the intent here with these building placements? There's a siege workshop just chilling out. What is he even thinking about making with this siege workshop?
I mean, he can try the mangonels, but we all know that mangonels received a bit of a nerf over here, so they're not as powerful as they used to be. Right now, it looks like Viper is just going to tank up the damage with that siege workshop, really. He's dropping off relic number 3 right now. If he's given a little time, he can just build up an archer force over here and repel this one. He's in a bit of a tough spot, though. A lot of idols left and right, and you get the feel that DeMusliM, being behind by 71, or not 71 villagers, he's just at 71 right now, being behind by 25. He still has the English farming eco, and he has way less idols than Viper, so maybe, just maybe, we're seeing a recovery here from DeMusliM now, because his eco efficiency seems to be better than the one from Viper.
Did Viper go too greedy here? Obviously, he's got the 4 relics in the bag. He's got almost 100 villagers now. DeMusliM struggling at the same time, but we do indeed see a keep coming out as a defensive way for Viper to hold on from this push. And at the same time, remember, DeMusliM has pulled vills. He is marching these villagers out across the map. You can see them right now on your screen. Plenty of villagers now. Yeah, he wants to get a castle drop. Obviously, Viper already has his castle set up, ready to hold position. And now the outpost going to start things off. Just going to be looking to slow it down. Going to be dropping it down on the gold mine here. And Viper going to be losing a couple units if he's not careful. Longbow's in great position. Focusing down that knight. Going to be saying good night, sweet prince. Get it? Good night.
Oh man, I mean, that's a dad joke that I usually drop over here. But what's more concerning for Viper over here is that I'm just now realizing, look at the gold mine distribution. This is the secondary gold mine of Viper, and he's at 500 gold per minute, but 300 of that actually comes from sacred sites, or relics rather. Now, he's got a backup gold mine that he's mining right now, but if DeMusliM finds that, he can cut Viper off from gold, and you see it's actually 4 relics out there, forward castle as well, and we all know what the English can do with their castles. They can go use them as siege workshops, network of citadels bonus coming in as well, and now it's going to be all about that trebuchet dream here for DeMusliM, and Viper will have to fight this, otherwise he loses his landmarks.
Did you say Trebuchet Dream or did you say Mangonel Dream? Because Viper made a Mangonel. What patch does Viper think we're playing on right now? The Mangonel's going to cut. Okay, all right. I want you guys to focus very carefully, okay? Vodka is going to focus on the health of these units. Good job, Mangonel. Good job. I think you hit the ground there. That was a good shot. Second shot coming out, Mangonel. Big damage to a single longbow. It looks like it took about 3 damage there. Don't worry, Mangonel. You got the next shot, Mangonel. You can do it next time, all right? Don't worry. I believe next time, all right? You guys just keep your eyes on this Mangonel. He is a serious business maker.
And look at that, gold mine on the left side denied. Now, DeMusliM doesn't know about Viper's gold mining operation on the right side, and that is a lifesaver right now for Viper. The concern is that the farming eco could be pushed here really far, and this is why those walls are so helpful. Lidakor might need to take a couple of notes on this one, because this is what DeMusliM is able to accomplish with those walls. Prevent counterattacks from Viper that would be so distracting.
Yeah, but he is going to pick up reinforcements, though. I guess that's the one big thing. Loses a couple units here, but Viper turning the attention towards his opponent's base. Wants to draw him away. Wants to say, hey, stop fighting me on my base. You know, let's try and change the argument. Let's try and control the narrative a little bit here. And Viper trying his best, but now the trebuchet, first trebuchet of the day, going to be coming out. Viper beginning to siege down that keep towards his own base. And now the trebuchet going to be turning its attention towards the infrastructure of Viper, as we see that DeMusliM has got one out as well. Viper breaks through the front gate. He's going to be making his way. There's a wood line right there that is open, and the villagers going to be making a run for it now. Viper turning his attention towards all those poor villagers. I'm not sure if we've got our textile upgrade, but at this point in time, it doesn't even matter. The knights do so much damn damage. Villager count not looking pretty right now for DeMusliM as it continues to climb and fall down. At the moment, there is a 30 villager gap between these two players, but keep in mind there is a significant military advantage for DeMusliM, and it's only going to be increasing as he loses more and more units. Viper does to this town center, but yeah, look at this. DeMuslim's just pushing right now, doing the classic English push with the longbows.
Yeah, this is tricky here for Viper because it seemed like he was gonna do a lot of damage, but in the meantime, he lost his monastery that housed 4 relics. And yeah, sure thing, DeMusliM lost some villagers, but he's still at 83 with the English farming. So there's a 30 villagers gap, but that's going to be less and less significant as we go deeper and deeper into this game. And as you pointed out, the army numbers are just looking way better here for DeMusliM. And you see that mangonel, it feels like it's just throwing away pebbles, really. It doesn't seem like boulders are falling from the sky.
It did like 6 damage, dude. I'm not sure if you saw that, but like I feel like at this point the trebuchet is going to do more damage to infantry, but now knights looking to mean serious business as they begin to make their way towards this forward keep. We don't see any boiling oil on this keep, so just going to be relying on the arrows that it begins to fire down, and a cleanup Viper is attempting to do at the same time attacking at this keep. And keep in mind the network of castles has been upgraded, or the network of citadels rather. And now the trebuchet going to continue firing down upon that keep. And it looks like he's going to be able to repel this position.
Yeah, Viper bought himself a lot of time over here. He intercepted the spearmen that were coming in. But once again, DeMusliM is not giving up, and Viper lost a substantial amount of forces inside his base. And when the dust settles, look at the populations. It's pretty much even over here. Viper still has to try and repel that keep, but now the new wave of reinforcements is coming in here for DeMusliM. He's got men-at-arms transition on the way as well. He doesn't really have a direct answer to those knights right now. Only 9 crossbows and 3 spearmen on the battlefield. Viper depleting those gold mines on the right side. He still has one pretty much complete big gold mine that he can take, but look at the food. That's a different story.
That's a big sad right there. That is a lot of villagers that are idle. But speaking of idle villagers, well, I don't know how I was going to tee that into this big battle that's unfolding, but the Trebs are continuing to fire down at the villagers for DeMusliM. DeMusliM might have insufficient wood right now. Indeed, he does. The keep is going to be going down. I saw him get down to 8 wood right there on the UI. So I think he might have some wood insufficiencies coming out at this point in time. Very unfortunate for him. Mangonel going to be firing towards the infantry, but, well, it's a Mangonel. It doesn't really do much. Look at the Mangonels. They're playing around right now. It's like, here's a beach ball. Have some beach balls, guys. You guys like beach balls? Have a beach ball.
Yeah, Viper's numbers are growing rapidly over here, and once again, look at DeMusliM's anti-cavalry force. We're talking about 4 crossbows, and that's basically it. Not a single spearman on the lineup, barely any crossbowmen, and that's the reason why Viper is so effective with these fights. I mean, look at those. The knights are just paying for their price so effectively here, and now it looks like DeMusliM is getting repelled. The good news here for DeMusliM is that he was able to drag this game out to a stage where we're getting closer and closer to even ground. The bad news is that he wasn't able to finish off Viper. Viper still has a 40 villagers lead, and what's more concerning is 4 relics. So you get the feel that this was decent from DeMusliM, and he's not in a bad spot, but he's also not in a great spot either.
Yeah, I think you're right, because there's a lot of good things that are going on for Viper. He's got all of his food economy up. You can see he's got so many villagers right now that are working on farms. He's also securing up the sacred sites down towards the south, and DeMusliM is looking to secure a position towards the north. And this is a great thing for Viper, because Viper is ahead in the economic unit count. He's ahead by about 35 villages at this point. He reaches the 131st, which means his economy is going to be in a great stage. But the issue is going to be whether DeMusliM manages to drag the game out to 40-45 minutes, because if that is the case, that is when the English economy comes online. That is when the Wingard Palace comes online. And now the Mangonels beginning to move out towards the middle of the map, and I think they killed 2 longbows there. That wasn't terrible. But now the Mangonels just going down to the longbows, because they're actually quite effective at killing Mangonels.
And a crossbow is now hitting the battlefield, and just look at the sudden shift in the balance of these battles. The first few crossbows hitting the field means that those knights are way less effective than what they used to be, and suddenly these battles are once again reasonable here for the Muslim. He's trying to juke those boulders coming from those mangonels out there, still lacking the amount of crossbows he needs to deal with those knights, and that's the main reason why he's getting repelled over and over again.
Yeah, beautiful little mass actually starting to build now for Viper. He is pushing out. He's he's finally funneling in all of those resources from his economy into his military rather than into his villages. He's reached 138 villages. He's probably going to be stopping around this point in time. He's getting all of his upgrades behind this. We can see the lumber preservation coming in as well as horticulture has been established. So now going to be going for fertilization himself, but a second keep going to get added in for the Viper at this point in time. So looking to continue pushing forward. He's managed to take one sacred site to the south. The central sacred site was eventually neutralized. And now a mangonel coming out in response from DeMusliM. He said, hey, I can make mangonels as well. And these guys getting a little bit confused about what patch it is that we're playing on, as both of those mangonels just throwing beach balls at each other at this point. It's not pretty.
Yeah, there's a sudden shift in the military numbers as well. Now the Viper is up to 50, and now you can see that his economy advantage is translating into military presence as well. Because so far the Muslim had a massive army lead. Now it is going to be the Viper, and look at that, he's going to intercept all those villagers in the middle of the map. That is heavy losses for the Muslim, and he simply doesn't have the army to fight Viper right now.
And that's a really good point. He doesn't have the army to fight Viper. Viper is up 20 military population, so it wasn't looking pretty. There was a point there I got very scared for Viper. I thought, that's it. DeMuslim's going to be able to take this game. But now all of a sudden, it is turned upon its head. Viper has found himself in a great spot. He's at max population. He is 70 population ahead of DeMusliM. And now DeMusliM is going to be in a bit of a confused position because he doesn't know. Do I think about going age 4? Do I think about making units? And now the push begins to come to shove as Viper looks to come towards the base of his opponent. All those buildings towards the north have been cleaned up, and now Viper beginning to unfold with the mangonel on the backline. Mangonel going to be looking to make a scratch, making a dent in the ground below it because it does barely nothing as it hits an outpost, I think. Maybe does like 16 damage to an outpost potentially. There wasn't a lot. Now Mangonel firing off it. It killed a... Was that a crossbow? I think he killed a crossbow. That's 3 kills this game for the mangonels. 3 kills with as many mangonels, by the way.
Viper dropping that red palace on the front line as well. He knows that he's got momentum, he knows that he's got map control, and dropping a red palace in that crucial position would be devastating for the Muslim. That's basically the Muslim's primary way to leave his base. Having a red palace over there would be a disaster. Looks like the longbows are going to open up against the villagers though, but the red palace should finish in time, and now the Muslim is in trouble, especially because look at the Muslim's gold count. He's pretty much out. Once he gets to Imperial, he can get enclosures, sure thing, but he's yet to start going up to Imperial, and Viper's gonna get to Imp very soon with the Red Palace. This is looking really difficult, especially with Viper also securing all 3 sacred sites.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He has got all 3 sacred sites. He's got the Red Palace to defend it, and now he begins using it as a staging ground. We see he's dropping down a whole bunch of infrastructure right around this Red Palace and using one of the bonuses that the French get that not a lot of people utilize successfully. I was talking about this with a good... Oh, I've lost my feed, Lidakor. Are you still there?
And the concern is that the Red Palace is in his face, and you pointed out just before our stream started to have issues, is that the Viper is also using the discount that you're getting on your stable production with those castles of the French, and that's going to allow him to just flood out cavalry like there is no tomorrow. And if you look at the unit comp of the Muslim, it's still just 18 longbows, 10 crossbows, and those are Castle Age crossbows, and they're going to be matched up against the Imperial Age Knights, potentially with the Royal Bloodlines upgrade coming in very soon. And this is how desperate the gold situation is for the Muslim. He has to move out towards that gold mine over here that's right in the middle of this contested battlefield.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And now we do see those elite upgrades are finally coming through for Viper, looking for elite crossbows, or rather elite arbaletiers, elite royal knights, or rather elite royal knights. There are a lot of elite upgrades, and now we do see elite knights as well as elite arbaletiers coming in. And Viper, despite making mangonels, somehow finds a way back into this game. Lidakor, I will leave you again for a brief moment. I do apologize. Wingard Palace also coming up for the Muslim. Very interesting. Good luck.
Yeah, it is going to be the Wingard Palace out there. It's all good, it's all good. It's one of those days. The Viper. out there with the trebuchets. He has the firepower to start shelling the base of the Muslim over here. And in the meantime, he's got the elite Royal Knight upgrade. Wingard army this, Wingard army that. The problem is that currently the Muslim has no response to just a flood of Royal Knights out there. His base is walled with palisades only, so it's relatively easy for the Viper to break through that as well. Trebuchets setting up, and there is a massive overchop here. So obviously that's where the Muslim wants to meet his enemy. And it looks like we're seeing a stable transition here. This could be great for the Muslim to launch counterattack and raid, and in the long run, that could be his way back into the game. The concern is that he won't be able to take a direct engagement against those French Royal Knights with his own. Looks like Viper just wants to widen that gap over here, starts shelling those walls. He just wants to run in with that cavalry at this point, strike straight at the heart of the economy for the Muslim, which is the farming eco. He's going to burn his way through, and I think this is the moment where he's realizing that the Muslim's army is probably much smaller than what he anticipated it would be. And it is mostly just men-at-arms out there. The Royal Knights could run in, and this is a fight to which Viper could and probably should commit to. Looks like he's going to call off his forces. He is still playing this one patiently. He's got the Mangonel coming up. Trebuchet is also setting up. He's gonna have a chance to start shelling the Wingard Palace out there. Also some knights coming in from the left side as well. So Viper starting to unleash that French late-game cavalry, and that is going to be so difficult for the low-mobility army of the Muslim to fight against. Archer's Arbaletry also set up over here for Viper. He's got the elite upgrades on most of his units, and he's taking a big battle here against the Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms do have a ton of melee armor over here, but they're still fighting against elite Royal Knights. Arbaletry at the backline, even a Mangonel joins the party over here from Viper. And the firepower is probably just too great to deal with at this point for the Muslim. He's doing a great job holding off these forces, but you get the feel that he's just slowly losing map control. Knights are now moving in towards that Mangonel. Look at that, that's a ton of dead villagers on the southern part of the map. Viper is just decimating the ranks of the Muslim right now. Steady 200 population as opposed to 158 over here. And the Muslim is just struggling to clean up all of those forces out there. He has started adding stables himself, but he's yet to add a single cavalry unit. And once again, his army is mostly longbows. Only 6 crossbowmen for him. Barely anything to fight against those Royal Knights with. Viper once again charging in with the Knights. No spearmen, no crossbows on the battlefield. And those Knights will take some very effective trades over here. Trebuchets firing away left and right. As you see, the Trebuchets of Viper are taking down the Wingard Palace out there. No villagers here to repair. Viper still building up his knight numbers up to 25 over here. Looks like that is quite a lot of villagers also being pulled over here. That might have been a misclick here by the Muslim. A lot of villagers are in that group. You can see that the archers, or the villagers rather, are firing away with their bows. Probably just misclicked his army and accidentally selected some villagers as well. Joined up with the army over here. Trebuchets of the Muslim now getting taken down by Viper's cavalry, and now Viper is going to flood the base of the Muslim. Simply not a single crossbowman or spearman to deal with this. Now we're up to 6 and 5 from each of those, but it is just insufficient to fight against elite Royal Knights, especially when there's a support for arballetry and archers. Viper is now inside the food eco of the Muslim, and the Muslim's food eco is about to collapse. Chances here for the Muslim for recovery are just very, very slim, simply because he's not going to be able to afford army very soon. And I mean, Viper still has the trebuchets up. He can start shelling those landmarks and go for the landmark victory here if he really wants to. Instead, he's sending the archers to the right side, and that is an absolute fiesta out there. About 50 villagers exposed. The knights are also moving in, and it looks like it is going to be the Muslim tapping out. Viper takes game number 1.
Lidakor, I just came back and it says match complete. What happened, Lidakor? I wasn't here, Lidakor. Explain to me, Lidakor.
Well. Turns out that longbows still struggle against fully upgraded elite Royal Knights, if you want the TLDR of that match.
What? Oh, I never would have guessed. I never would have guessed. Well, Lidakor, I'm glad to be back, but I gotta say, whew, I am not happy to have eaten those waffles. Look, I'm gonna ask you to remind me next time that I decide to go to a chicken place. Don't get the spicy chicken. That wasn't fun. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that game, what unfolded. I mean, I'm incredibly excited about what I see on my screen at the moment right now, but Viper, he looked pretty damn good. I like the way that he played. It all comes down to that second TC, because that second town center, that town center opens up so much potential for Viper, because typically, if you're playing against French versus English, one town center against one town center, you're in this scenario where it's like, okay, I can't afford to lose any villagers against the longbows. I can't afford to die in the push. He's going to get the second town center as well. When he goes up to the castle edge, how am I going to react? And now all of a sudden I'm on a timer. But you get that second town center early. You manage to survive, and now all of a sudden it opens up your entire late game, and that's exactly what he did. So I guess that's good game.
Yeah, it was very well played. And both players tried to play an eco-focused approach here, but plain and simple, Viper's eco-focus here paid off a lot easier, a lot faster, and then he just leveraged that for better military numbers. He leveraged that for what eventually turned out to be 4 relics under his control, 3 sacred sites as well. And the key thing was him being able to stall out that push from DeMusliM in Castle Age. Like, ever since that castle got taken down right next to Viper's base, it was Viper all over the place. So to a certain extent, DeMusliM understood that he's behind in villager count and he's gonna have to close out the game as soon as possible. He tried to go aggressive, and it worked fairly well until the knights arrived.